Hello, good evening everyone, and welcome to Weekends with IIIT Hyderabad. In this series, we have students from IIIT Hyderabad talking about academics and life at the IIIT campus. So today's session that we're having is called Learning Opportunities for UG at IIIT Hyderabad. Today we have three students on the panel. There is Kane, there is Devansh, and I am Ashna Jaina. So today's session is the last of 5 sessions that we had in this series, and next week onwards we will be having more sessions which will not be by the students but by faculty and other members of IIIT Hyderabad. The way we are going about this session is that we'll have a round of introductions from all three of us on the panel today, and then we will move on to answering all the questions that you all post. I'll start with myself. I am Ashna Jaina. I just completed my third year at IIIT, and I'm part of the CLD program, which is a dual degree program, and it's an interdisciplinary program. I have a BTech in computer science and a master's in computational linguistics. Now, I want to talk a little about my story of getting to IIIT. When I was in my 11th and 12th, I was preparing for JEE, and obviously IIIT was on the cards because of it's one of the best institutes for computer science in the country, and the great placement records and all the things that I've heard from friends who are at IIIT Hyderabad. But I was not very sure that this is the college that I want to go to. I obviously had other things in mind as well. What kind of really pushed me to come to IIIT Hyderabad was the course that I was getting more than anything else. So when I was in 11th and 12th, I had no prior knowledge of computer science. I did not have computer science in my 11th and 12th. And obviously, I also had zero knowledge of linguistics. There are a lot of people out there who participate in PLO, ILO, linguistic Olympiads, but I had never done that. So I had zero knowledge on both subjects. But I still wanted to really write the entrance exam, which in my time was separate for all the dual degree programs. CLD had a separate exam, CND had a separate exam. I wrote the one for CLD mostly because when I read about the program and when I looked at the sample questions, they were all very interesting to me because they were all based on logical reasoning and mental ability, and that kind of thing was something I was personally very interested in. And when I gave the exam, it turned out to be something, I mean, for the first time, I actually had fun writing an exam, or actually liked the kind of problems that I solved in that exam. So I was very happy to be selected for the interview. And when I was preparing for the interview, I was looking at all these conventional questions about what will I say if they ask me, why do you want to go to IIIT Hyderabad, or what is the real life applications of NLP, or what is the real life applications of artificial intelligence, things that this course is about. But after a point, I realized, I mean, not me, but my parents told me that you're a 12th grade student, and these are professors who know that you have no knowledge about these things. So I talked to more people who had given these interviews, and they told me just brush up your maths, and the rest is on the spot thinking. They basically want to see your analytical ability. They don't want to ask you about things that you don't know. They want to ask you about things that you do know, and just understand how deeply you understand the concepts which you do know. They're not going to grill you about something that you don't have any idea about. And that's exactly what my interview was. I had one question which I talked about for around 30 minutes, nowhere related to uh, any technical thing or anything. It was a very casual, free flowing conversation. Their professors, they know that you are not you don't have to speak very professionally, or you don't have to have great English or anything. You just have to speak your mind and think on the spot and be creative and analyze, put your best analysis in front of them. And that's all I did. And I think it was that interview which kind of made me realize that this is something that I want to do for 5 years, and this is something I will enjoy learning, even though I have no prior knowledge about it. In fact, for other people out there who are concerned about, there's going to be people who know coding before or who have studied all of this before, I would like to say that yes, the academics at IIIT is very vigorous, but it's it's not good to say that you can't cope up with it. You can definitely cope up with it. I did. I had no previous knowledge about either of these things, and I have been able to maintain a good academic record so far. Talking about learning opportunities, I came to IIIT looking for learning opportunities in things other than academics as well. I am very serious about my extracurriculars, and I also wanted a lot of experience in student communities and in positions of leadership, etc. So those are things that I explored. I've been coordinator for the dance club for the past 2 years. I've been part of the cultural council for Felicity, which is our annual festival. And I'm also the cultural coordinator for my house. Here at IIIT, we have the house system. We've got 4 houses, and we have all these inter-house activities which keep going on in sports and cultural aspects. And there's art and there's writing as well. So, given for my current research scenario, I'm part of the Language Technologies Research Center lab, and I'm currently working on a couple of problem statements, one of which deals with hierarchical summarization, which talks about how you can generate summaries on different level of detail and in different length summaries given a piece of text. And the other thing that I'm working on is finding templates in structured and semi-structured documents. After my college, I'm not so inclined towards going into academic research, but I'm very inclined towards going into corporate research. And these days, a lot of the big companies have a lot of openings for computational linguists, and they have research positions open. So that's kind of where my aim lies. And today I can answer questions in English and Hindi. Over to Kane for his introduction next.
So hi everyone, my name is Kanay Gupta and I am a 4th year BTech CSE student at IIIT Hyderabad, and I'll be graduating this month. So I'm originally from Jaipur, Rajasthan. So the story how I got to know about IIIT Hyderabad and why I chose it over others is somewhat interesting. So the first time I heard about IIIT was from a senior whose father worked in the same company as my father did. And from my school days itself, I was very sure that I have to pursue a career in computer science. Then JEE happened and I got a decent rank in JEE, but I wasn't getting a CSE in any of the old IITs. I was getting branches like maths and computing in a couple of IITs as well as computer science in IIIT Hyderabad. So due to this, it was a very difficult decision for me that whether to go for IITs like pursue maths and computing or get admitted into new IITs or choose IIIT CSE. So after talking to a lot of people, getting a lot of feedback from everyone I talked to, I chose IIIT over all the other choices because the main thing which caught my focus were the impressive curriculum that we have for computer science, the good location of the college, like it's situated at the heart of the industry in Hyderabad, and everyone who I spoke to gave positive feedback about the college. So that's what attracted me towards IIIT, and I can definitely say that I have been more than happy with my decision, and not once I have regretted it. So when it comes to learning opportunities at IIIT Hyderabad, I have had a lot of different learning opportunities during the last 4 years. The main reasons that I was able to get these were that IIIT is a very small size community. Like the batches are very small size. So being that small, we have a lot of opportunities to take part in any event that we want, anything we want to pursue without the fear or the pressure that already there are so many people enrolled, they are very good. So that fear is removed and we are able to try things that we haven't tried so far in our life. And another big reason is that we are given an opportunity to study CS related topics from the first year itself. So from the first sem, in fact. So that gives us an ample of time to explore a lot of different fields in computer science, be it research, be it competitive programming, etc. etc. So given that I have done like mainly if you want to divide my undergrad, I have done like I've focused on two things. First, the first half of my undergrad, I was focused a lot on competitive programming, where we were solving problems related to data structures and algorithms. And in the later half, I did a lot of research in the fields of robotics, social media, machine learning, etc. So in the field of robotics, I have worked on particular problems like depth prediction, trajectory prediction, etc., which are some of the most important problems where computer science is contributing to the field of robotics, and specifically fields like machine learning and computer vision. When it comes to social media, I have worked on a lot of projects which have created some good impact out there in the society. So on a project I worked with Devansh Manu, who is on the panel here with us today, and we covered the 2019 general elections quite extensively and did a lot of analysis of content on Twitter. And like we were constantly working during the election phases as well, and our work got a lot of traction due to like good work, and it was featured in a lot of newspapers as well, and regularly during every phase our work used to get featured in newspaper. There was some articles here and there all the time. And like as part of a course project in social media, I also did analysis on this new system of e-challans that a lot of cities have introduced, like Ahmedabad, Delhi, and we were trying to get out some patterns, some analysis, some heat maps that the authorities can use and improve the system. So other than learning opportunities related to studies, I also got a lot of I also got to pick a lot of skills in other fields as well. So I was an elected member of the parliament. That is the name of the main student body that handles everything in Triple IT. So to get elected to it, I had to go through the elections. So that was another experience in itself. And after getting elected, we had a lot of discussions where we discussed on policy, like where we took a lot of feedback from others, brought out our issues that our hostel people or our batchmates are facing, and then how to deal with higher authorities, like give our word, how to reach our voices to them, how to convince them that this is the right thing to pursue. Like all these have taught me a lot of important social skills, and I'm sure that these will help me in my future endeavors. So another thing, like being a huge sports enthusiast, like there are ample of sports facilities in our campus, and there are different types of events that happen, and I got to organize a lot of them. And like we are also close to the Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy. So being a big badminton player, I regularly used to go there over the weekends, and that also helped a lot in like getting out of college, like changing the environment and like all that. So that is all like I have to say about learning opportunities. So to answer like what I want to do after I graduate, I interned in Google last summer, and I'll be joining as a software engineer at Google itself in the month of August as a result of the pre-placement offer that I got. And like this is just a short time thing, and as a broader goal, I see myself like leading a group of people, leading a group of software engineers, like people all together, and making products that would create a lot of impact. Like that could be through corporate, that could be through research, that could be through my own startup or anything. Like I haven't given it that much thought. So for this session today, I can answer questions in English and Hindi. Over to Devansh.
Hi everyone, I'm Devansh Manu. I'm a dual degree graduate from the CHD branch, and that is Computation Humanities dual degree. I joined the college in 2015. I've completed my fifth year and I'm done with my master's thesis. So starting off with with how my journey started. Yes, I was doing some programming in school. I was in a CBSE school. I was doing C++ in 11th and 12th. That's what really got my interest. Okay, yeah, I want to pursue my further studies in the CS stream. So I was talking to a professor, to a teacher in my coaching, and he told me that if you want to go do CS, think of nothing else but Tripoli Hyderabad. So yeah, then I gave the exam, and the exam I gave was not UG level at that time. It was called dual degree entrance examination. So which was a very I'd say interesting examination, not a very typical entrance examination. We didn't have physics or chemistry. We had logical reasoning, intensive maths, and a few essays. What was even more interesting was the interview that happened after the exam. I remember I went all prepared, wearing formals, carrying all my certificates, read up on the institute, on the research that happens here and everything. So I had all the mappings done that if they ask me this, I'll answer that or otherwise. But what happened inside that interview room was completely opposite. It did not feel like a proper interview at all. It was just a casual conversations I had with two professors and the head of my research center. So the interview was it was not like you were asked. It was not standard question answer session. And the questions were not standard. So I remember one topic that came up during my interview was what are your thoughts about life after death? And this was completely unexpected for a student who was preparing for JE for the past 2.5 years. So I remember walking out of the interview and telling my parents that I don't know what will happen because I kind of had a heated debate with one of our senior professors there. But fun fact, when I joined the college, when I got through the interview, came to college, and I met the same professor after a course, and he told me that that particular debate, which I thought could go against me, turned otherwise, and they really liked how I took my stand and stuck to it, gave my own reasons, and framed more and more points as I thought more about the topic. So yeah, that was my exam and interview experience. Talking about my branch, like many of you right now, I was definitely confused about how do you study CS and humanities together. So it was an interdisciplinary course studying the confluence of CS and humanities. But as I took the courses in college and as I did my research, as I started doing as I published papers, did my thesis, I understood that this field right now really has a wide scope, and it is just not about making algorithms or making products, but you should know how to solve real life problems that because in the end the products will affect the customers. So getting a humanities sense, or say I have taken courses that were related to economics or sociology or the society, so that really helps me understand, okay, what is how to make a certain feature or product really useful for a person. So yeah, that was about the branch. My research project and thesis was based on a confluence of data science as well as political sociology. As Kanai mentioned, the topic of my thesis was election 2019. I focused more on a discourse analysis point of view, which is basically understanding how online topics come up, how conversations are formed, how are people interacting with each other, how is the information flow happening. So if during a particular week or particular month a certain topic comes up, so what factors lead to that topic coming up, and after that comes up, what impact that one particular topic has on the entire Twitter sphere. So that was my research area. This project was a combined effort from, in fact, two labs from Triple IT as well as two institutes. So my work was primarily in the Center of Exact Humanities as well as Information Retrieval and Extraction Lab. I work with Professor Radhika from Triple IT Hyderabad as well as Professor PK, who is from Triple IT Delhi but was on a sabbatical at Triple IT Hyderabad and is now a visiting faculty here. So along with research opportunities, I also got a lot of opportunities to explore the startup world, the corporate world, as well as the education institutes. So in second year, I interned at a startup in Delhi to learn the technicalities of what I'll be using in my research for in the further years. In third year, I interned with education institute as a research intern, working on a project that was very similar in terms of the technicalities with my current research project. In my fourth year, I got to experience the corporate world. I interned with the American Express in United Kingdom. That is when I realized that what is the value of being from a prestigious institute. So when you go out of your, say, city, state, or even country, you see that people know your college, people recognize you, you have a very strong alumni network. So even over there, people were amazed by the kind of courses I was taking, by the kind of cross-disciplinary course I was doing. And it is then that you actually realize that the CS knowledge that I've gained in Triple IT surely makes me stand apart from the crowd. So apart from academics, I've been a part of a lot of clubs and councils in college that has helped me grow as a person, taught me management skills, time management skills, people management, and whatnot. So I've been a part of the Apex body, the placement committee, the academic council. I've been a part of the cultural council, constitution drafting committee, and a very active member of the music club. So yeah, if you want to see academics or co-curricular or whatever, you have opportunities all over once you're in college. And that being said, these opportunities are not spoon-fed to you. You need to find your own opportunities, and at times even create them. And that is the fun of it. So you have the entire community to help you. So that is another interesting, or uh, the USP of Triple IT is that we have very few people on campus. We have very few students as well as professors on campus. So it's a very close knit, small community with everyone helping each other, and you at least know everyone by face. So in whatever domain you want to go, you have people to help you out. And yeah, coming to my future endeavors, I have not really thought of that much. I just want to explore the corporate world right now. So I'll be joining American Express in the UK in a few months, and then see what life unfolds for my future. And today I can answer questions in Hindi as well as English. Over to you, Ashna.
Next question we have here is, what are bouquet courses? Science electives, theory/foundation electives, open electives, HS electives. Okay, HS electives are humanities electives. They appear on the website, but I couldn't find a list of the specific courses offered that fall under these categories. Can you please provide such a list? Okay. First of all, I'd like to mention that these courses are they're not fixed every semester. So there is a separate list that is offered in monsoon semesters. There's a separate list that's offered in spring semesters, and they're not fixed for every year. Every year they kind of change depending on which professor wants to offer which courses. If you have any new professors, if professors want to start some new courses, so you have, the list is ever changing. There are a lot of courses. So HS courses are humanities. You have a lot of humanities electives, ranging from political science, sociology. There's courses in literature. There's courses in gender and society. So there are a lot of different kinds of courses there. Bouquet courses, basically. Okay, I think Kanan wants to answer this a little better than I can. Kanan.
Yeah. So in Triple IT, there is this unique thing that in the last 2 years, we are given a lot of choice in the courses that we want to follow. So in terms of that, the courses you can say are divided into two categories. One are the HSME electives, that is humanities, science, maths, and engineering, and the others are like bouquet courses and other courses. So the logic for dividing them into two categories is the bouquet courses or the foundation courses are some typical courses that a student should have. Like there are some heavyweight courses like operating systems or distributed systems, databases, and like according to your interest, you can choose them. And the other category of courses that contains HS electives, open electives, science electives, engineering electives are for people that if they want to pursue some particular course, some particular thing which they have always like wanted to explore. So for example, in humanities we have courses related to Shakespeare, like English literature or history, social sciences, etc., etc. And in engineering we have like courses related to big data or like others. So that is what the distinction is made, and we have a lot of freedom in choosing those courses, and each of them, like as Ashna said, they keep on changing every year according to the faculty, according to the students who enroll in the course. Over to Ashna.
Okay. So yeah, once you come here, you can, every year there is the list of all the courses which are available for the next upcoming semester is made available to all the students, and you have ample time to choose. As Kane and I, both of us mentioned, these are some of the typical courses that you have. You can find a lot of courses in databases, information security, basically any topic that you want to explore. There will be a couple of courses in that area. They can be beginner courses, they can be courses which have some prerequisites so that they're advanced courses, etc. Moving on to the next question, what is the scope of cybersecurity at IIIT Hyderabad? Okay, so I think this is very related to the last question. So cybersecurity is a particular field. So we have electives which cater to people interested in cybersecurity. We have principles of information security. I think that's one course that a lot of my friends took this year, which is more of an introductory course. I'm sure there are advanced courses on this as well. So there are a lot of courses in information security, cybersecurity, cryptography, all these topics. But these are mostly present as form of electives. So once you do all the base courses, computer programming, algorithms, data structure, then you have the freedom of taking all these courses. Does anybody want to add something? Yes, Kanan.
Yeah. So when it comes to cyber security, like IIIT is famous for its research centers. Like there are a lot of research centers which caters to different fields of computer science. So when it comes to cyber security, there are a lot of professors who are working in this in the lab known as C-STAR, that is Center for Security, Threat and Algorithmic Research. So in that lab, there are some professors who are working in this, and they have a lot notable contributions as well in this. Like you can look up Professor Kanan Srinathan, like, and his work on this field, and like you can get some more idea about what people are doing. Yeah, over to Ashwin.
Okay, thank you. Next question we have is, which dual degree branch would favor the cybersecurity interest? Okay, I don't think this is a question that I should be answering specifically, but yeah, out of all the dual degree branches, since CLD is more particularly inclined towards linguistics, CHD more particularly towards humanities, CSD, which is computer science dual degree, gives you the freedom of choosing whichever lab you want to work with and which professors you want to work with. Similarly, even ECD offers that option, but I think that's up to you. But yeah, if you really want to go into cybersecurity, and as Kane mentioned, there is a research center that caters to your interest. Probably you can come here as a computer science dual and find a professor within that lab and pursue research there. I think Devansh can help us understand this a little better.
Yeah, so you mentioned that which branch would favor the interest. So yes, as Ashna mentioned, being in a branch like CHD or CLD, you cannot, or it's kind of tough to pursue the field in a research-based domain. But in whatever branch you are, dual degree or single degree, you can obviously take courses as Kanai mentioned, or you can take independent projects under professors who are doing work in the field you would like to work on. So we are given that freedom and the space to take up different courses or even take up a few extra credits to work under a professor. You could stay back in the summer or you do it during the semester, whatever. So yeah, I don't think doing any like getting the experience of any field is just will be restricted by your branch or the program you are in. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's a good addition. We do have, you do have an option of taking an independent study, or you do have option of taking projects under professors, which can be semester long, or you can spend the summer or winter and do those. That's completely given. Yes. Next question we have is, what percentage of class scores over 8 CGPA, 9 CGPA? Um, Again, that's a very subjective question. All I would want to say is that the academics here are rigorous, but if you're sincere and if you're working hard at your courses and you're sincerely working hard, you're doing your assignments, you're preparing for the exams, you're paying attention in class, an 8 CGPA or a 9 CGPA is not hard to achieve. That's, I mean, I've maintained a really good GPA, and I can say that if you pay attention in class and you do your assignments well, because the assignments are very informative, they are a great learning process. And the assignments that we have here are not very typical assignments. We have very interesting assignments, coding assignments. So if you just follow the coursework well, you can have a good CGPA quite easily. Next question we have here is, I want to join CBI or RAW as a hacker. So is BTech in CS good for me? And also, are there any sub branches in BTech in computer science? So which sub-branch should I go for, and also guide me for the same? Okay, that's a very particular interest that you have there again. Um, as I said, you can come here, you can go through all the basic courses. Yes, the institute is one of the best for learning computer science in India. So you do have a lot of good resources available here in terms of professors, in terms of seniors, in terms of the biggest resource that I would say is the culture that we have here for coding, for open source, for a lot of these things that, you know, when you come here, you're not even aware of. You're very aware about what you want to do, but a lot of students who come here get into all of these things and develop interest into all of these things. And I can assure you that if you come here, you will have ample number of seniors, and you will have some faculty interested in this area. So I think we will have Kane add something more to this question.
Yeah. So in addition to all the courses that we have in college, we have a good culture of organizing competitions like as tech in our annual college festival. So there we have events like capture the flag, CTF, or various hackathons where and if you are enthusiastic about say hacking or ethical hacking for that matter, you can come up with your own individual competition for it, make problem statements, and invite various students from all over the country, like various enthusiasts in this field, and you can learn a lot during that process as well. So, as Ashna said, culture plays an important role for this, and if you have some seniors who are already working in this, you can easily reach out to them and like do this. And this has happened in the past, like a lot of people are interested in machine learning for say, and they have like launched their own events in the tech fest that we have, in the cultural fest that we have, and like a lot of good participation and projects have come as a part of this. Yeah, over to Devansh.
So yeah, as you mentioned, just a second. Yeah, as you mentioned that you're very much focused for CBI or RAW. Now, for to becoming a hacker, there's no like one specific course that will make you a hacker. There are so doing hacking would involve a lot of things, which would individually be taught in some courses as well as say hackathons, as Kanai mentioned, or you can talk to people, learn about it. So, hacking as such would involve a lot of things, say cyber security or operating systems, or even how to operate a Linux system. So all of that would be taught individually, and all these skills actually build up for you to pursue that as a profession. So yeah, I think coming to CS, it would definitely be good for you, where you will get to learn all the basics and how to use all these basics to uh, pick what you want to really use for your profession. Over to you, Ashna.
Okay, thank you. That was a good answer. But yeah, like all of us said, you may not find an entire course, an entire degree based on your interest, but definitely it is the environment and it is the culture that plays a big role. I can, off the top of my head, think of a lot of people who are interested in the things that you're mentioning, who have participated in all these bug bounty programs and capture the flag sort of programs. Many enthusiasts. So you can definitely get in touch with them. Next question we have is, I want to pursue a CSC degree, but got ECE through DASA mode. I have heard that CSC and ECE are similar. Can you give your opinion on whether I should prefer CSC in top NITs, IIIT Delhi, or ECE in IIIT Hyderabad? Okay, does anybody wants to answer this question? Okay, Devansh.
Right. So I'll go line by line. Yeah, you've heard CSE and ECE are similar. Not really, because you have different specialization courses for both of them, which are compulsory. Although in IIIT you can take courses, or you do have the freedom to take electives, which can be in the ECE field or the CSE field. But when you're in ECE, you do have to take some compulsory courses that are required for your credits and not the CSE credits. And if you want your opinion on whether I should prefer CSE in top NITs, IIIT Delhi, or ECE in IIIT Hyderabad, I think that is a very subjective question that I mean, no one can tell you what to pursue, because you need to figure out what your core interest comes from, where it comes from. I mean, we cannot say right here over here that this is good, this is bad. But yes, even if you come to ECE, you will get a lot of opportunities to do. I mean, I know people from ECE who just focused, who are actually doing core CSE jobs right now, or who are doing masters in CS right now. So even that is a opportunity that opens up. So yeah, I think that is it from my side. If yeah, I think Kane would like to add something to it.
Yeah, when it comes to CSE and EC, like I would like to point out that a lot of research that is done in IIIT is interdisciplinary in nature. Like you would see, for example, I worked in the robotics research lab. So I constantly saw EC students coming up and solving CSE problems for that matter, and learning a lot of like doing courses related to CSE, solving problems related to CSE, learning new technologies related to CSE as well. So like CSE and EC are very interdisciplinary in IIIT. That is one advantage like which is there in our college.
Okay, thank you, Kane. So I think the main takeaways that we have for this question are, first of all, the fact that these two courses, they are interdisciplinary. The fact that we have so many electives makes all the options very open and reachable for you. That I am personally aware of a lot of people who came as EC students, got really interested in coding, learned coding in their own time and in their own interest. And yeah, in the first year you do have the basic programming courses as well, so you do have the basic knowledge, and ended up in some great companies doing core CS jobs. So that is something that can happen. That is something a lot of people here do, but what choice you want to make is completely your decision. And yeah, secondly, all the research labs here, we don't really say that, okay, if you're from this course only, you can come to this lab, or if you're not from this course, you can't take this lab. We have people from different courses working together. In fact, say I'm in the Language Technologies Research Center. You wouldn't think that an EC person will be working here, but we have, especially in the speech lab, where we have a lot of signal processing happening. So we have a lot of EC people working with us there. And so uh, if you look at it that way, the opportunities are immense. And no matter which course you come here with, you have the opportunity of exploring everything else. Next question we have here is, how is the startup culture at IIIT Hyderabad? Did anyone actually make it big? Okay. How is the startup culture at IIIT Hyderabad? I think it's great. We have incubators inside, but literally inside the campus. There is CIE, there is T-Hub, which is inside the campus, which incubates a lot of startups. And these startups are in fact very happy working with IIIT students as interns, or make them full-time members of their startups as well. We also have this club called the ECEL, which is the Entrepreneurship Cell, which really encourages IIIT students to bring up their ideas. They have all these programs like for the last couple of years, they've had Startup Aid, where they actually go through the ideas that you suggest. You have professors and some other specialists working with you on these ideas, and you can end up getting incubated at CIE or some related things. And the startup culture here as such is great. We do have a lot of big names. We do have a lot of people who made it big. Kane, would you like to say some more about this?
Yeah. So as Ashna said, like, so as Ashna mentioned before that we have two big incubators in our campus itself, like the CIE and T-Hub, and they contribute, like they have a lot of good startups coming up, and obviously like being in our campus, they offer a lot of opportunities to our students as well. And to answer the question, did anyone make it big? A lot of them made quite big. So yeah, a lot of people are might be aware of InterviewBit. So InterviewBit is a startup which was founded by IIIT alumni, and it has revolutionized the tech field. Like it offers a lot of good preparation for interviews to big companies, and they have also launched a program known as Scalar Academy, which a lot of people are using to enhance their knowledge in the tech field. And then there is a startup called DreamView, which has worked a lot in the camera field and have developed some good technologies using 360-degree cameras. And then there is a startup called Commute, which is trying to solve the transportation problem in a city like Hyderabad. So yeah, a lot of them are solving quite unique problems and are using technology to solve them. And like a lot of them have made it quite big. Over to us now.
Okay, thank you. The next question that we have here is, can you describe some of the projects you have done as part of your courses? Okay, so as part of our courses, in fact, most courses that we have a project component, except for exams and assignments. There almost always there is some project component. Um, the courses differ in the projects differ immensely based on which course it is. One thing I do want to mention is that just starts right from the first semester. I remember in my first year, the first project, in fact, that I did was to make a simple website, a simple personal portfolio for myself. I, in fact, remember Devansh here was my teaching assistant and evaluated my project. So that was one of the most fun projects I've done. It was a website I was making for myself. I had the basic skills to do it. Those were taught in class. So just the basic skills are taught in class. There's no spoon feeding happening about this is how you have to do something. And then we were given this project that, you go on, explore, make it creative, make it different, um, make it personal. And we have teaching assistants along the way who help us in all the course projects that we have, who help us evaluate our performance and also help us identify the new things and the new concepts that we need. And I can give you examples of projects that I've done for linguistics as well as on the computer science side. I think last semester I had a data analytics course where we were allowed to choose our own data set. And then we had different phases of the project where we performed different types of algorithms, or different types of, let's say, clustering or classification or things like that. So that was one of the projects. On the linguistics side, we have very different projects. Last semester, I did a semester-long project on analyzing a foreign language. So I analyzed Turkish in a lot of depth, applied a lot of linguistic concepts to it. Each person in the class took a different language, and we had those presentations. And that's one kind of project that I did. Over to Kanek.
Yeah, so to describe one project that I did, so I did this course called Big Data and Policing. And as for Ashna, Devansh was a TA for me as well. So like we did a course project, as I described in my introduction, we did a course project on, so the course was basically related to how data plays a role in like monitoring and all like basically enhancing the quality of life that people live, and how like various organizations use it for policing. So we did this project on e-challan. So basically a lot of traffic police in various cities are uploading the e-challans directly on the website, and you can go and pay them there as well. So we collected the data, we analyzed what all locations have frequent like traffic violations, what are the kind of violations, and how much money is paid, how much money is unpaid, what is the user behavior behind that. So all that we did as part of a project. And then we like after the course got over and the prof liked the project very much, so we like went ahead and published that as a research paper as well. So yeah, so to read more about it, there was a blog post as well on our project. The link is blogs.tripleit.ac.in/echallan. You can read it up about our project. So it was a course project. So over to Devansh.
Right, as Ashna and Kanay both mentioned, I think one of the like key features of triple IT courses are the TAs. The TAs are usually your seniors, or if they can be people from PhD or MTech. Now, what advantage this gives the students is that they can directly interact with their TAs whenever, what if they're facing any difficulties with their projects, and the TAs would usually know how to do that, and even the TAs would know what are the professor's expectations from that project. So the TAs are actually able to guide the students in a much better way. The projects are evaluated by TAs as well as professors. Yes, coming to my personal projects, uh, we have done projects, a lot of crazy projects like making games, making some GUI games. I think we made the Blocksaw game. Then we had a chess tournament, which was people made their own bots and then they were made to compete with each other inside their own batch. And then yeah, you had rankings inside within your batch. Um, Yes, as Kanai mentioned, the BDP course he took was under the same professor. I took a course on social media, and my project was basically so today a lot of people are into fitness. They use fitness trackers, they use fitness apps. So my project was basically all this data that is collected by these fitness apps. We can use it to identify a user's location, user's home. So it was a fun project and also a bit I think I would say creepy for others. So when we showed it to people, it was amazing that we third year students sitting in college, if we can track your home location, think of with all the data that's available online, think of what big companies can do. So yeah, you get to do a lot of projects. You do independent projects. You also collaborate with some PhD researchers or master researchers as a part of the course projects. So you also get that experience. And yeah, it is up. Also, it also depends on what kind of courses you take. Over to you, Ashna.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, as Devansh mentioned, Triple ID in fact is very interested in making games. We have a lot of courses where we have projects about making games. I've made Subway Surfers, Mario, a lot of these games. We've made our own versions of it. And yeah, even I have done a project where we make a bot that has to play a game, and then all our bots are competed against each other, and we have rankings within the batch. That's also a fun project. Next question we have is, what kind of research does one get to do in CSE branch? In which year? Okay, so if you're talking about CSE in particular, that's a 4 degree. I'm assuming it's the 4 degree single. It's a 4 year single degree course that we're talking about. So if you're part of CSE, you have um, you have the opportunity of taking an honors program. So you can become an honors student and take up an advisor and work under them. Choose a lab, take an advisor, work under them. So you have a lot of options for the labs that you can go into. Um, like Devansh is working in, that's the exact humanities lab. I'm working in the language technologies lab. There are a lot of other labs that you can go to. There's the robotics center. There is C-Star, as Kane mentioned. There's SERC, which is Software Engineering Research Center. There are a lot more labs that you have here. There are a lot of labs related to natural sciences. So you have professors working on quantum computing, the theoretical aspect as well as the computing aspect. We have a lot of labs working on machine learning, artificial intelligence. So as a CSE student, you can choose any of these labs, whichever interests you. And I think Devansh would also like to share something with us. Devansh.
So as Ashna told you about a list of research centers, I have shared a link on the chat. It is triple-research.in/research/centers. So here you can find a list of all the research centers, and as also previously mentioned, we have not divided our research centers into branches. And I think Kane would be the best one to answer this question because he is from CSE branch and he's actually done research in 2 labs. So I think over to you, Kane.
Yeah, so I would like to expand on the honors program that Ashna mentioned before. So this is one of the unique features in Triple IT that undergrads also get to do some valuable research as part of the degree that itself. So at the end of second year, we are asked to choose some research centers that we want to be a part of, or like that we like, on the basis of interacting with different labs, different professors, different students working in these labs. And once we choose a particular lab for our honors program, we spend the summer of second year, we spend the next 2 years as well as the summer of third year working with that prof, working on some interesting problems and solving some you taking some unique ideas and converting them into like actual solutions. And a lot of undergrads during their CSE or honors program get to publish in a lot of good journals and like good conferences and get to present their work in like respectable conferences around the world. So I believe that that is a very good opportunity given to undergrads. Like that gives you an idea about what research is, what actually goes into solving research problems, and that does help you to like decide what you want to do in your future. Like some people I have seen that after experiencing the honors program went on to do PhDs directly. Like they enjoyed the field, they enjoyed the work so much, and then they decided, okay, this is what I want to pursue. So yeah, that is one big advantage of honors program in Triple IT Hyderabad. Over to Ashta.
Okay, thank you. I think just to sum it up, if you are in CSE, you can take an honors program where you can actually take an advisor, research lab, and do your research. This typically happens after your second year. But if you don't want to take the honors program, you have a lot of other options as well. You can take things like independent study under professors. I know a lot of people who have taken independent studies and even gotten papers out of that. So independent study is a good way to go. That's like a course that you can take. It's a semester-long course that you can take under a professor. Other options you have is even if you don't take honors, you have to do a BTech project, which is what we call the BTP. And often that can also be a research project. Doesn't have to be necessarily, but you can take it under a professor and do some sort of research there. And even if you don't want to have any official, you don't want an official advisor or something, you're always free to volunteer, go to some labs, work under some masters or some PhD students, help them out in their research. That's also a possibility. Okay. All this next question we have, all this sounds very scary. Is it really possible to do so much in 4 years? Well, since Devansh and Kane have both graduated, they're Devansh.
Yeah, so okay, this might sound a bit bookish or the standard WhatsApp quotes you get. So once you move out of school, your life really becomes how you make it, and it's the same for the campus also. You really need to, like as I said in my introduction, you need to grab opportunities, you need to create opportunities if you don't get them. So yeah, I mean, what you do in college, be it triplet or any college, so you can focus on academics completely. That is not wrong. You can focus equally, or you can completely move out of academics. We do have people like that also. So I mean, you are exposed to everything. You have the entire platter in front of you, and it's up to you how you choose it. And on the way, you will learn how to manage your time and how to do all of this in just 4 years. And believe me, this is not a lot, because once we are talking about all these projects, so once you get the project, you that is the fun part about course project specifically. You have a deadline of the semester end, so you need to complete that project by the end of the semester. So I think that deadline really helped me complete a lot of projects. And yeah, and you will see your friends doing a lot, your seniors have done a lot, you have a very strong alumni network, so that really motivates all of us to uh, explore a lot of things. And would also know that, okay, there are opportunities open to us outside of the country too. So that is what I had also experienced. So the company I interned for, there was no one from Triple IT who had gone there, but I knew that yes, people do go for interns in the UK. So I just applied, and yeah, things went in my favor. So I think it is really possible. And again, it is the life would just be how you make it. Over to you, Kane.
Yeah, so as Devansh mentioned adequately, like it's not at all scary. So I can tell you, like he still had 5 years to do all this. I just had four. So yeah, it's not at all scary. It's a lot fun. And like with this academic work, there are a lot of opportunities that you get to enjoy yourself, like to develop hobbies. Like we have a very active club culture in our college. Like there are so many clubs: music club, debate club, dance club, literary club, and then we have a very good e-cell in our college as well. So that also gives you a lot of opportunities to go outside academics, and that helps you to balance everything quite nicely, as well as have fun at the same time. So, and also seniors like Devansh have helped us a lot to make this less scary and enjoy ourselves in the past 4 years. So yeah, over to Ashta.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I have much to add here. Yes, it does sound scary, but once you're here, uh, you have all these opportunities and you have all these people around you. Like I said, culture plays a big role. When you see everybody, managing the time and doing all this, you automatically feel motivated to do the same. And yeah, everybody ends up with great things on their resume, whether it be in research or corporate or whichever field that you're interested in. Next question that we have here is, will you have time for internships if you're doing honors? Again, this is a question of time management, about what you want to do, how much time you want to spend on either of those things. I would like to mention that once you're an honor student or if you're a dual degree student, it is necessary for you to have your advisor's permission if you wish to go for an internship, whether it be inside or outside the company. You do need their permission. So you have to ask them. There might be some advisors who will advise you to stay in campus during the summer and work on your research projects. But yeah, there are definitely I know lots of people who've done honors and gone for an internship. Okay, thank you. Yes, I think that answers the questions. The professors are fairly reasonable. If you want to go for an intern and work at a place that will help you grow, especially if it is related to your research field, they do allow. Next question we have here is, I have a lot of free time right now, getting bored. Can you recommend any topics, courses that I can do which will help me in my first year? Is learning Python a good choice? Okay, it's great to know that you want to start out early. I would definitely like to mention that there is no such prerequisite that you need to be aware of any coding language, or you have to have previous experience in programming before coming here. Everything starts from scratch in first year, no matter how much experience you have. But I think it's great if you want to start out early and you want to give it a go and learn Python. Python is something that's really on the go right now. Uh, so yeah, Python is a great choice to go with. Um, I think Devansh wants to add something. Over to Devansh.
Okay, so I might have a completely different stance here. Agreed, you will have a lot of free time right now. I would say that this 1 or 2 months, whatever you might get because of all the pandemic that's happening right now. It is something you will never ever get after this. I mean, I hope we all don't get this after it. So this time is. I mean, you have still not started college. You will come and learn Python in college. So you can just relax with your family, have fun with your friends, or pursue a hobby, which will definitely help you in college and after. But yeah, if you want to take courses, there are a lot of online courses available these days, be it Python or C++. But yes, I would say all of this would be taught because we do know that when people come here in first year, they not all of them know coding. So coding is definitely taught from scratch. So yeah, I think Kanay wants to add something. Over to you, Kanay.
Yeah. So not to contradict Devansh, but like I personally, what I did was, so when I was free in these 2 months after JEE happened, so I was already interested in doing computer science. So I thought like it will be a good idea to have some knowledge before I go to college. So I personally like did some online C++ courses, and like if you are interested, like it's not mandatory at all. If you are interested, you can do learn like some programming language, and like for me personally that eased a lot of things when I came to college. Like in the first semester itself there were some good courses that involved a lot of learning, and being well versed with a programming language from the past itself helped me helped me focus on a lot of different things that I would not have generally focused if I had spent the time in learning the language when I just entered the college. So yeah, it does. So if you are interested, you have time at your hand, and I don't want you to spend all the time on learning. But if you do want to learn, I think it's a good idea to learn Python or maybe C++ for a start, and it can definitely help you when you enter college. But given what Devan said, like it totally stands out. Like this time you won't get again, and there is, if you feel pressured, if you don't feel like studying, feel free to not study and develop some hobbies, because you this is the time to learn new things, be it music, be it dancing, be it reading, writing, anything you want. So yeah, over to us.
Yes, I think they're both great perspectives. Please do develop a hobby that you can come and continue in college, because you definitely need something in college to get your mind off academics sometimes. Okay. The next question we have here is, do honor students from C Star do internships over the third year summer? Okay, so if you're saying that you're an honor student, I'm assuming that you're talking about a single degree student, in which case third year summer would typically be the summer that you do go for an intern. In Like I mentioned earlier, going for an intern as an honor student does not depend on which lab you're in, or which course you're in. The only thing that you have to be careful about is to make sure that your advisor is okay with you going, because you do require a no objection certificate from the college. And if you're an honor student, if you're associated with any professor, the college will ask the professor um, to confirm whether they're okay with you going or not. So it's best that you talk to your advisor about this. And as Kanan mentioned, if you've been making enough progress in your research, if your advisor is happy with your work, and if your advisor, if you're not in the middle of a project that needs your attention during the summer, or you have like a conference deadline right in the middle of the summer, then the professors are fairly reasonable about letting the students go for internships, so you don't have to worry about that. It is definitely not related to which lab you're under. It's more related to which professor you're working with and how well you're making progress. Does anybody want to add something? Okay, let's move on to the next question. How is the entrepreneurial culture at IIIT Hyderabad? I think this is closely related to the question about startups. Does anybody want to reiterate something, add something? Okay, we'll have Kanye add something.
So not to add a lot of things, but we do have an active e-cell in our college, the entrepreneurship cell, and I have added the link, that is ecell.iit.ac.in. You can go and see what events we have all around there, and feel free to take part if you're interested in any of them. Yeah, over to Ashna.
Okay, thanks. I think you can read up on that link. It will be informative enough, and we already answered this in detail during the question about startups. What does the honors course load entail? What extra course a student should take to complete the requirements? Okay, so if you're an honors student, you basically choose to become an honors student after your second year. So for the next 4 semesters, you have some extra credits, which are your honors credits. So you have like a project component that gets added to your course load, and those are, I think, typically 4 credits per semester, and your honors advisor grades you for those 4 credits. There's no courses as such which you have to take. Okay, we can have Kane answer this since he was an honors student.
So whatever lab you choose for your honors, the prof generally, like it is a practice that is followed, that the prof generally recommends some courses that you have to do as part of your. So you are given the choice to choose electives, right? So in those choices, the prof generally recommends that, okay, this is the course that you should take, and this is what will contribute, like this is what will help in your research as well. So yes, there are not, like you can say, there are not extra courses, but there are definitely courses that you have to do on the basis of what your prof recommends, and it also helps you in your research. So yeah, I just wanted to add the course. Over to Ashna.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. If you take honors, or in fact, if you take your research under any professor, they will for sure advise you to take some courses related to your research area. But those are not extra from the course load that you would already have. You can take them as part of the electives that you anyway have to take to complete your BTech credits. They're not extra credits that get added on top of your BTech credits. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Is any lab doing research and operations research? Is it DSAC? Is pure CS research done under SCRC or CSTAR? Okay, Kane, can you answer this question for us?
So operations research is a like wide field of computer science. It involves a lot of things. Basically, it is taking decisions and taking action so that we are able to better manage the operations of any big company or anything for that matter, and it involves a lot of subfields into it. So for particularly particular applications related to operations research, we have the ML lab at IIIT Hyderabad, the machine learning lab at IIIT Hyderabad, that does a lot of work in game theory, and game theory has a direct application in operations research. And then we also have like ISB, which is very close to our campus, and they do a lot of projects related to this topic. And like I remember one of my seniors get did work in this field. Like he was CSC BTech, and he worked on some project related to operations research in ISB, and then he went to MIT for doing a research internship in the same field. So it's a very interdisciplinary kind of topic, and there is no particular lab which deals with it purely. But yeah, a lot of labs like DSAC or ML lab solve some problems related to this. For to us now.
Okay, thank you, Kane. So yes, as he said, there are more than just one lab working on this research field. The best way to go forward with it is to actually talk to professors about what kind of projects they're working on currently. That would give you a lot more insight into which lab or which professor to go under, instead of just going by definitions or choosing a lab. Next question we have is, how do you decide your research field? Do you get enough exposure by second year to make an informed decision? How do RAships work? RA, for those who don't know, is research assistant, and where does research internships fit into this? Okay, can we have Devansh answer this question for us? Over to Devansh.
Okay, first of all, good question. Choosing a research field obviously is tough when you are ending your second year. So I'll talk about my personal experience. So I have right now worked for about 3 years in the domain of elections and online social media. Not purely from a CS point of view, but also from a more humanities and social science point of view. So when I was in my second year and we were asked to choose our research advisors or research centers, so I so just this is generally what is done. You talk to different professors and you gauge each other's interests. So you talk to a professor that this is what I know, this is what I want to do, this is what I'll be interested in, and the professor would also tell you that what work he is doing, if he will be able to guide you well in in your particular interest or not. So in my case, I went to 2 3 professors, talked to them. Um, I personally did not have any experience or any knowledge about elections or even politics in India. So how my project turned up was, I so I went to my professor, Professor Radhika, and she was starting off a project. She wanted to do some projects with elections as well as using computational tools to understand them better. And I, at that time, just went in to try that out. So my first pilot project for my master's thesis was analyzing the 2000, I think 13 or 14 Gujarat elections. So that was where I started. I did some basic analysis of it. I liked that. I enjoyed that. So that is how I chose my research topic. So that involved a lot of reading, because whatever, I think this was a question too, right? Yeah. Do you get enough exposure by your second year to make an informed decision? Yes and no. You do some courses. So you do a lot of courses by your second year. So you have a knowledge about, you have bits and pieces of knowledge about everything. So you kind of know what you maybe want to do, and you also know what you don't want to do. So obviously I was doing politics, elections. There was no course I had taken in any of these fields by my second year. I did take up a course on sociology in my third year, but this research field I had to give given a lot of reading, reading books, research papers, newspapers, news articles, and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it for me it was completely exploratory. I wanted to explore that particular small project, and that in turn turned up to be my master's thesis. Then how do RShips work? RShip basically, so if a professor is doing some research and you be a part of it, so he or she would appoint you as a research assistant. There would be some stipend for it. You will be paid for it. The stipend is not fixed. and it depends on how much funding your professor or research center has, and how much they are willing to pay you. And where does research internships fit into this? So research internships can be, so if I am working in some particular domain and I want to, I read about some professor who is in some other university and who is working in a similar field, and I am really interested by that. I can ask my research advisor that I want to work with him or her, and if both the research interests say align with each other, then the professor would give you a green flag and you go to do the research internship. So I think. Can also add to this last part of doing research internships, which are directly or indirectly affecting your honors project. Kane?
Yeah. So basically, as Devansh mentioned earlier, so research internships, as even I said, you have a big chance to do an internship at the end of your third year. Like if you are an honors student, you have a chance to do an internship at the end of your third year. You have the summer of third year where you can do internship, be it corporate or research. So if you have made some good progress in your research field and your professor also thinks that okay, it would be good to do a research internship, you can definitely take this option. And there are so many programs, official programs that offers research internships at various universities around the world. You can apply to any one of them, and uh, if it matches your field of work, you can go and do that internship. I have seen many people, many of my batchmates take this option who were interested in pursuing research as a future option, and they went for research internships at the end of their third year. Uh, yeah, over to us.
Okay, thank you both of you for the answers. I would also like to add something from my side. So I'm in CLD, and when I came to college, I had this notion that because I'm already in CLD, my research lab is decided, but that's actually not, that's incorrect. So my umbrella research lab sort of is defined that I need to be somewhere in language technologies research center, but there are a lot of labs even within that. Like there's the speech lab, there's the information extraction lab, there's the natural language processing lab, there's the machine translation lab. So the way that we had our course planned every semester for the first 2 years, every semester, apart from the common courses that we did with CSC and ECE and all the other students, we had one linguistic course. So by the end of second year, I had done 4 courses in pure linguistics. So that kind of gave me a good idea of the fact that whether I want to go into pure theoretical linguistics side of the research or do I want more computational part of it. And on basis of that, when you go and talk to professors, I think the first thing that all the professors ask you to do is to look up some of the more recent papers that have come from their lab. And those are very easily findable. In fact, even if any of you guys want to look up, the professors are very well established and you can literally look them up on Google Scholar. So you read some of the papers that have come out of that lab and you see if those kind of research topics, research problem statements interest you. So it is merely a factor of it's merely a factor of interest that most people apply to choose their research centers or their advisors. So it's always a good idea to go and talk to research advisors. They know that you are just starting out, so they are very informative, and they also will, help you find uh, senior people in that lab who will explain about their projects. Or, in fact, in my case, in my batch, I even had students who did some small sort of research, played a small part in other people's research projects in their first 2 years, just to see if that's something that interests them. And that's true. So you can spend a summer also trying to explore different areas. It's not very rigid that if you choose a professor, you choose a problem statement, you have to stick to it for 5 years. It's very flexible. So if you're worried about that, I think I just wanted to put that out there as well. Next question we have is, what are the competitions other than GSOC one participates in IIIT Hyderabad CSE? Okay, first of all, I would like to clarify the tone of the question. You don't have to participate in GSOC. It's just something that a lot of people want to participate in, because we have in IIIT Hyderabad at least a great culture around open source. So people get interested in open source, people start contributing to open source. Open source, by the way, is free software organizations which develop software and develop. So these organizations work remotely, and all their code, all their source code is available publicly, and anybody is free to join them, anybody is free to contribute to their code. So GSOC is just one of the programs, which is the full form for that is Google Summer of Code, that is present for getting an internship in open source communities. There are a lot of other similar programs as well. There's Rails GSOC, there's the Outreach program, which offer internships in open source. But yes, this is not, there are a lot of other things that we participate in. I think ICPC is one of the more known things. And other than that, like Kani was mentioning and Devansh was mentioning, there are a lot of hackathons that happen, hackathons, bug bounty programs. So depending on what you're interested in, if it's open source, if it's, competitive programming, then you can go that way. I think we'll have Kani add something to this.
Yeah, other than GSOC, as Ashna mentioned briefly, there's this big competition called ICPC, that is the Intercollegiate Program Competition. So that is a competition that is very famous in the world for all the major competitive programmers participate in this, and every country sends some teams to that competition. And like from India, generally there are 5 to 6 teams that are sent to this competition. And as a matter of fact, IIIT has been for, like, I don't know last how many years, for the last 5 to 10 years we have been sending a team in this world finals every time. And like the highest rank that has ever been bagged by a team was also from IIIT Hyderabad itself. So that is one big competition that IIIT Hyderabad excels in, and we have been quite successful in that as well. Over to Ashna.
Okay, yes, that's true, but you don't have to worry about all of that. When you come here, you will find ample seniors who are really, really enthusiastic about all this. In fact, there are clubs. There's the programming club. There's the open source development group. We have clubs which talk about freelancing and everything. So if you have interest in competitions or programs like these to land internships or to do ICPC, you have enough help once you come here. So you don't have to worry about it right now. But yeah, the next question we have is ECE a good option for girls? I don't see why not. I mean, it's a matter of interest. If you're interested in computer science more, then probably CS will be a better option. If you are interested in electronics and communication more, then ECE is a better option. If the question is catering more towards there not being enough representation of girls on campus, this year, in fact, we are trying to improve that. We have the diversity pool program kicking in this year. Everybody, all the girls who apply through JEE mode of admission are directly eligible for this program. We have some incentives for the girls. And I do want to, really reiterate this, that yeah, right now the number of the gender ratio is not exactly great, but the community of girls here is quite big. We share hostels, and we're quite a close-knit community. I've never felt that there are not enough girls in college, or there are not enough girls in my branch. In fact, for my batch CLD in particular, out of 15, we are, I think, 7 girls. So that's quite an equal representation. So any other, you can check out our pages and you can read up on the diversity pool to get more information about the incentives that we're offering this time and all the details about that program. But yeah, I think EC would be a great option for any girl who feels that they're interested in this domain. And you really don't have to worry about there being enough girls, or there being a strong girl community, or not receiving any equal opportunities as the guys. There's nothing as such. In fact, there aren't even the superficial rules that sometimes there are colleges which have differential rules for girls and boys, even regarding going out of campus, some curfews or something. We have nothing like that. So there is a good representation of girls, and I think it's a great option for anybody who's interested in EC. We have Devansh add something to this.
I think yeah, Ashna has summed it up well. And apart from personal experiences, if you have any other questions that are related to like girls in campus or even the diversity program, as Ashna mentioned, you can drop a mail at admissions.diversity@triple-a.ac.in or acad@council counsel@triple-a.ac.in. So the admin can provide you with more details and any other help if that's required. Over to you, Ashna.
Okay, thank you, Devansh. With that, we will conclude today's session. I'd like to remind everybody that the recording for this session, as well as all the previous sessions, will be available on YouTube. And anybody who's missed the live session or wants to follow up can go there. We've provided a bunch of links and email IDs here. So if you want to send any emails to know more about certain topics, you can please go ahead and do that. Um, Also, I would like to clarify that we do have more sessions coming up. This was the last of the 5 sessions which had student panels. Next up, we have a session coming up by one of our faculties, Professor Aftab Hussain, which is titled Flexible Electronics for a Rigid World. And you can watch out our social media accounts to get regular updates. Please follow them, and you'll be able to access the full calendar there. And please tune in to more of our sessions. Thank you for tuning in to this one. Have a good evening, and thank you so much.